There's the Chad that rips the 16-hour days, guzzles down caffeine, sacrifices sleep, and just pushes through with pure willpower. And then there's what I like to call the monks, the people who slow down, meditate on their work, take strategic pauses, and analyze every single move before taking the next one. I always thought that you had to fit in one camp or the other. Either you grind relentlessly or you slow down and work smarter. But after years of trial and error in really high stakes scenarios, I found that this is a false choice. Neither extremes lead to long-term success. That the real answer is figuring out how to do both at the right time. This isn't about balance, and it's not about choosing one or the other. It's about knowing when to go all in and when to step back. Let me explain. Most people get this completely backwards. Like I did for so long, they wake up, hit the ground running, and start grinding immediately without ever questioning the work that they're doing because they just have to get it all done. And they never stop to ask if they're working on the right things. It's like sprinting full speed ahead without checking if you're on the right track. Here's the best sequence that I found so far. Step back first. Before even thinking about diving into work, I zoom out. I look at the bigger picture and analyze what truly matters and make sure that I'm not just doing work, but I'm doing the right work. Then, once I'm clear on that, I execute relentlessly. I turn off all distractions and I don't second guess what I'm working on. That's when you go all in. The 14-hour days, maximum leverage, and just full speed ahead all day. Most people grind first and then wonder why they aren't making any progress. And I've been trying to do the opposite more often, and it has worked wonders. Next time you show up for work, try this. Before you start work, stop. Spend 15 to 30 minutes writing down what is the highest possible leverage thing that I can be doing today. Number 2, next, once you know it, attack it. Work in sprints, eliminate distractions, and work really hard. And then lastly, repeat as needed. There's no shame, and if you truly feel like when you're working on the task that it's not the right thing, even after going through the initial period of taking a step back, you can always do it again and reassess your work. And then once you figure it out, you can go right back at it again. This isn't about balance. It's about using the right tools at the right time. So why don't most people work like this? Because slowing down feels unproductive. Sitting in silence, thinking long-term and strategically doesn't give you the same dopamine spike as checking 20 things off your to-do list. It's not as socially cool to say, oh yeah, instead of working on my business today, I spent 3 hours journaling and reflecting on my overall business strategy. But the harsh truth is that if you're working on the wrong things, no amount of hustling or getting it done will actually help you. You'll just burn out a lot faster. On the other hand, if all you do is think and never execute, by definition, you'll never get anything done. People fall into one of these two extremes because they don't trust the process. This camp over here thinks that slowing down means being left behind. And this camp over here thinks that going fast means making reckless mistakes. But the real success comes when you merge the two and you know when to switch back and forth between each one. And honestly, seeing that clearly isn't always the easiest thing to do. When you're deep in grind mode, it's really hard to step back and see a lot of the inefficiencies that you're running through at that moment. Something I've been trying lately is I actually developed a supplement that would help me specifically with this problem. I know how to work hard, but I deal with brain fog sometimes. With health issues I've mentioned in a previous video, I tend to have brain fog a lot, and so I don't always get a chance to step back and see things clearly before I go back at it again. It's really helped me step back and think in a broader way at a more macro level. So if that sounds like something that would help you too, click on the first link in the description. The game isn't about how fast or slow you work. It's about what you're working on in the first place. You can be slow and just be slow, and you can work fast and accomplish nothing. But if you're working on the right things, whether you're working faster or slower, you will actually make progress. The mental reframe here is that you need to take focus off of the means, which is either grinding or slowing down and thinking strategically, and shift that focus onto the desired outcome that you're ultimately after. So here's a good filter I use. Before I start working, I ask myself, when I look back at the end of the day today, what were the things I could have done that would have made the biggest difference? And then, to the best of my ability, I find a way to ruthlessly eliminate anything that does not serve that. Here's a good litmus test as well. If within the first 15 to 30 minutes of strategizing at the beginning of your day, if you can't come up with a clear answer on what the biggest thing you need to focus on is today within a 15 to 30 minute period, you really need to step back and rethink a lot more than just that day's work. Not that you'll have the clearest plan in the world, but you should have something, a task that even if you don't like it or what's gonna make you uncomfortable, you know for a fact will actually help you move forward. Because what's the point of firing on all cylinders for something that's ambiguous that may or may not actually work? But when I do have a clear answer to those things, I go all in on it. There's no longer any questions or second guessing when I'm working, because I've overcome those objections before the day's even begun. From personal experience, the amount of focus you get from this is very productive and quite insane. So here's my challenge to you. Before you start working, stop, step back, and ask yourself if you're on the right track. And if you are, go at it with everything you've got. That's it. Here's to better things. Peace.